Hello friends, this video on data handling part 4 is brought to you by examfear.com. No more fear from exam. So now let us understand how data is represented using graphs. So where do you get to see these kind of graphs? Now, as I gave an example some time back, that what happens when a teacher asks the favorite fruit to each student inside the class. Now, since there are so many students, a better way of representing this data is by making use of a graph. So this is a graphical representation of this data. Now, looking at this graph, you can very clearly say that how many students like apple. So you see this is apple, that how many students like apple? Almost 50 students like apple. How many like mango? Almost 40. 30 of them like grapes and somewhere around 20 of them like bananas. So just looking at this graph, you can very easily say how many of them likes what and which is the most liked food in the entire class. I mean, which is that fruit which is liked by most of the students in the class. So this is how the graphical representation of data looks like. You might have come across newspapers which give weather reports in the form of graphs. Now these graphs not necessarily always need to look like this. The graphs could also look like a circular graph. It could also be a line graph. So there are many different types of graphs. But basically these are some of the scenarios where you get to see a lot of graphs. Now, for people who maintain accounts, they also make use of graphs when they want to analyze the data and analyze the data of the finance that they have to see if there is a growth taking place or to see if there is a decline in the finance. So there are a lot of places where graphs can be very crucial or they can be of great significance. Now, what exactly is a graph? So a graph is nothing but a diagram that shows relationship between variable quantities. Now, what are variable quantities? Quantities which do not have a constant or a fixed value. So their values keep changing. Now, for example, as long as, if we take the same example of favorite fruit, we see that as long as you have asked two students, now one of them said apple is the favorite fruit, the second one said mango. The moment you ask the third student, what happens? Your data changes, and if the third student says that apple is his favorite fruit, so the number of students liking apple will change from 1 to 2. So that means the number of students who likes apple, that is not fixed, that keeps changing with data. So these kind of variable quantities, the number of students keep increasing or decreasing. Similarly, the number of students who like a particular type of fruit also keeps changing. So they are variable quantities. And when we have a diagram which shows the relationship between two variable quantities, that diagram is nothing but a graph. So let us take this example. Let's say that you have a car and this car is moving. So let's say that the car covers a certain distance in a certain amount of time. So let's say that this car, it covered 1 kilometer in the first 1 hour. It again covered another 1 kilometer in the next 1 hour. It again covered another 1 kilometer in the next 1 hour. So that is how the car is moving from one place to another. Now, can we represent this movement of the car using a graph? Yes, we can do that. So let us say that we draw a graph. Now, what are the two variable quantities here? One quantity is distance because the distance is changing. The other quantity is time because the time is also changing. Right now, it might be 9 o'clock. The next moment, it will be 9:05. Again, it will be 9:10. It will be 9:30, 10 o'clock and so on. So the time is changing. And with time, the distance is also changing because the car is moving. So maybe at 9 o'clock, the car was at the railway station. By 10, it might be at your school. By 11, it might be in the market. So since the car is moving, so the distance covered by the car is changing with time. So distance and time are the two variable quantities. So let us say that we represent distance on the y-axis and time on the x-axis. Now, if we say this is 0, this is the origin, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, and let's say that we represent the time in hours. This is 5 and so on. Similarly, here distance is represented in kilometers. So let's say this is 1, this is 2, 3, 4, and so on. Now, as per the movement of this car in the first 1 hour, that is first 1 hour, it covers 1 kilometer. So 1 hour and 1 kilometer, they meet at this point. In the next 1 hour would be this much time, right? So at next 1 hour, it covers again 1 kilometer. That means this much distance. So basically, it would be this point. Again, in the next 1 hour, it covers 1 more kilometer, that is this much distance. So basically this 3 and this 3, they would meet at some point like this. Now when you join all these points together, what do you get? You get a straight line. So this straight line basically describes the motion of the car. That means it tells you that how the car is moving. That means the car is moving with the speed is remaining uniform. So it is moving at the same speed. That is, every 1 hour it is covering 1 kilometer. Now it might happen, a car might also travel like this. Let's say first 1 hour it covered 5 kilometers. Next 1 hour it covered only 1 kilometer because it went very slowly. Next 1 kilometer it might cover 0.5 kilometers. So in that case, the graph that you will get will not be a straight line. It will be a different shape altogether. So looking at the shape of the graphs, you can determine the motion of that vehicle. So that's the beauty of graph, that you really do not need to manage a huge table of data all the time. Looking at the shape of the graph, also you can analyze a lot of things. Thank you. Please visit examfear.com for free quality education. You can learn with a simple 4-step learning process wherein you can watch video lessons, you can ask your questions, you can refer notes, and you can take a free online test. We have content for class 6 to 12 on physics, chemistry, mathematics, and biology along with practical videos. So please subscribe to our channel for daily updates. Thank you.